Thank you. Good afternoon, students. In fact, it's close to the evening now. Good evening, students. Yes, very good evening. So, we are all geared up and we are into the phase of the heart of the GST, which is input tax credit, right? So, we will continue our discussion on input tax credit. We will discuss further on input tax credit. I appreciate the support which you have given in the previous sessions. You've been there with me and you've taken up few questions and try to understand this very important topic. So we'll continue our discussion. The presentation was not colorful, so I've made it a little colorful today so that you will like it. Okay. So we'll directly go to the place where we left off from. And what we'll do is we'll try to understand the how this appears, like how I had shown you in the GST portal. I have some screenshots again to show on the GST portal how it actually appears. Okay, so time to claim credit, we have understood it very clearly. Now we'll proceed with the next point on credit on debit notes, right? We know that we can claim credit on the basis of invoice or on the basis of a debit note. So this topic is how do we claim credit on a debit? Okay, we'll take this example and understand this. Superstar Limited delivered a machine to Little Superstar Limited in They've delivered it in January 2019 under invoice number 640 dated 28 January 2019 for 10 lakhs plus GST at 18%. And they've undertaken trial runs and calibration of the machine as per the requirements of Little Superstar Limited. Okay, they have delivered the machine and they have taken some trial runs because Little Superstar said that when you deliver the machine, you have to do a trial run and calibration. Only then we will buy the machinery. So they have done that. Now the amount which is chargeable for the post delivery activities was covered in a debit note. Okay, when was the machine delivered? It was delivered on 28th January. Now for this trial runs and calibration, they have raised a debit note, which was raised in April 2019 for 1 lakh rupees plus GST. The company has filed its annual returns for the financial year 18-19 on 10th November 2019. Determine the time for taking ITC for the amount of tax covered in debit note as well as the original invoice. So what is the question is what is the time limit to claim the credit on the invoice and what is the time limit to claim the credit on the debit note? Sorry. Did you get the question that what is the time limit for taking credit? Like previous session, we had discussed the time limit. The same question I'm asking. Okay. The Teyosumi is saying for invoice 10th November 2019. Okay. And for debit note 30th November 2020. Okay. Oh, Kuldeep is saying up to 30th November for both or date of annual return, whichever is earlier. So he's saying 30th November 2019 for both. Okay. Pooja is saying only 10th November 2019. So yeah, 30th November, 30th November. Oh, everybody is of the view that it is 30th November 2019. Very strange. Okay, because we have not kind of dwelled into it. That's the reason. So the invoice is a separate document and debit note is a separate document. It is the time, the dependency of debit note is there on the invoice, and it is a composite supply. That's why you will treat it as a one. But the time limit to claim the credit is different. Okay. The time limit for taking ITC on the invoice would be 2018-19, which is up to the 10th of November 2019. And the time limit for claiming ITC on the debit note would be 2019-20, which is up till 30th November 2020. Okay, because invoice is raised in 1819. Okay, and debit note is raised in 1920. So that's the reason the time limit to claim the debit note will not be 10th November. It will be up till the due date, which is therefore 1920 itself. Okay, so you have to be careful that debit note will not be the date of the, will not be treated in par with the invoice itself. Is it not due to change in financial year? No, see, if you see the date of the debit note, you will understand it clearly. I'll highlight the debit note date. This is the invoice date. Invoice 640 is dated 28 January 2019. Okay. Whereas the debit note is raised in April 2019. So this is 2018-19 invoice and debit note is April 19th, which is 2019-20. So for debit note, it will be 30th November or annual return, whichever is earlier. Correct. But since here यहाँ पे annual return नहीं दिया है, so it means that they will file the annual return on their regular due date, which is 30th December, 31st December. Correct. So it will be for us practically it will be 30th November itself. If debit note was on 31st March 2019, yeah, good question. If say in this case debit note was raised on April, instead of April it was on 31st March 2018, what will be the due date for claiming the credit of the debit note? 30th November 2019. 10th November, because he's filed the return on 10th November. So it will be 10th November 2019. Okay. ठीक है. So this we are clear. That is what I wanted to clear, that the due date for invoice and debit note will be different. So you should not link the debit note to the invoice. We will link it to the other provisions like value of supply and other things. But for ITC, Invoice is a separate document, claim basis of that invoice. Debit note is a separate document. You claim the credit on the debit note separately. Now, let's get into the portal. How does the portal look? How do you claim the credit? Same rule for debit note, Kuldeep. Like how you have the rule for invoice, that rule applies for debit note also, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. First, how do you file the GST returns? You go to the GST login called gst.gov.in. We know now that GSTR1, what is the return, what is the GSTR2B return, and the GSTR3B return. How does it look on the portal when you log in and select the respective financial year and the respective quarter and the respective month? Okay. You get various tables, various blockers on the portal. You go to the portal and select the GSTR1. So if you click on GSTR1, the data of GSTR1 will get uploaded. So when you open the GSTR1, you'll see that various records or various kind of tabs will appear. मतलब कहाँ पे क्या क्या डिटेल्स देनी है. जैसे इसमें हमको देना है B2B invoices. Then you have to mention the B2C invoices. I'm sure by now you know what is B2B and what is B2C, right? So B2B invoices, B2C invoices, what are the export invoices, and what are the other category of invoices. So in those respective categories, you will mention them. Okay. So respective tables, respective things are there. You will put the details up over there. Then, so that will get filed. Once the GSTR1 is filed, your status will show as status is filed. Now, like you file GSTR1, your vendors also will file the GSTR1s. Once they file it, then you can view the data in the GSTR2B. So you will get a auto drafted ITC statement in the GSTR2B. Now you want to see what is the credit which you are eligible. So you will go to GSTR2B and click on view. So once you click on view, what opens up? A table of auto-drafted ITC statement in GSTR2B opens, which will have the following details. So you'll get to know what is your eligible credit, what is the taxes, right? That will be under all other ITC supply from registered person. So the person who's uploaded, he's a registered person, he's uploaded it, so you will get it. Okay. So this is the data of the input tax credit of the vendors who's uploaded. When you click on that, then you get further details. So it is B2B invoices. Like I've said you on debit notes also we can claim it. If it is debit note, then debit note details will come here. Okay. So B2B invoices will come here. Then when you click on that B2B invoices, further you will get to know which is the vendor, what is his GST number who is uploaded. So, example, Hyperleap Consultants. This is his GST number, and the invoice value is 5,90,000. So I know that yes, I had purchased a supply, made some transaction with Hyperleap Consultants, and I have a purchase invoice, and this is uploaded here, so I can cross check. I can cross check my invoice with data what is appearing in my GSTR2B. Okay. Similarly, this will have further details of the documents. So this has a big page. Left page is what you saw in the previous slide. On the right hand side, you will find it. So here you get to know that what is the taxable value. We saw the invoice value was 5,90,000, wherein the taxable value is 5 lakh rupees and tax is 90,000 rupees. And he has filed the GSTR1 in the month of September. Okay. Correct. 18%. Okay. Then once the GSTR 2B is saved, it is only there. You have to download it and check it. You don't have to do any action on the GSTR 2B returns. आपको GSTR 2B returns दिख गया. Now you have to check it with your books of accounts and see whether the purchases what you have accounted, everything is appearing there. If it is appearing, then you will claim the credit. Okay. Once that is completed, then you will file the monthly return in GSTR 3B. Okay. The next thing is filing the GSTR 3B return. You go to the 3B return, whatever is the red highlighted, you have to enter that. You will get the data of GSTR 3B filing. It is very simple, not as detailed as GSTR 1. GSTR 3B, you have to mention what is your tax on your outward supply, what is the supplies which is notified under 9(5), what is your interstate supplies, what is your eligible ITC, what are your exempt turnover, and whatever is the interest and late fees you have to pay. So what is prepare offline? Yes. So there is an option wherein you can enter your itself and prepare it, but if your data is very huge, like if you have thousands of values, you can't keep it manually punching it in the system. That's why if you click on fill offline or complete the data in offline, you'll get an Excel utility. You can copy paste the data from your accounting software and paste it here, and the filing becomes easier. That is the facility of filing it offline. Where is the option of filing offline utility? Just now I had shown, right? Before getting into it, here you have it. When you click on the respective month, then you have two options, prepare online or prepare offline. This is the option to prepare the data offline. Okay. So this, once you click on prepare online, this tabs will appear and you have to select your respective period. So that is how the GSTR 3B gets finished. Once you enter all this, that will get finished. Once you fill this return, how does your credit appear? You have filed your GSTR 3B. Now it will appear in your electronic credit ledger. This is your electronic credit ledger. That is, it will mention the month. That is ITC accrued. Now I have filed the return for July. Once I file the returns, the credit, what I've claimed in the returns will come over here as credit for the month, integrated tax, central tax, and state tax. Okay. And then the debit, because I will utilize the credit for payment. So whatever utilization I do, that will come under debit. So whatever transactions I do in my GST returns, that will appear in my electronic credit ledger as credit and debit. Okay. So this is how the thing looks on the portal. What theoretically we tell, you should know practically. That's why I've taken screenshots and providing you this details. So that SR3 is for sales, na? Which one SR3? Correct. For availing credit, value is manually entered. Once you enter the values monthly in your GSTR 3B, then here in the electronic credit ledger, it will automatically come. Electronic credit ledger, electronic cash ledger, electronic liability register. All of this is auto-populated based on the returns what we file. Correct. GSTR1 is for sales. Whatever sales you make, that you have to upload in GSTR1. 529530. Correct. On the sales, whatever is the tax payable, that is the debit. You're right. So credit is the ITC, what you purchase के ऊपर जो credit है, and what the sale, whatever you pay, you will utilize the credit. That is this debit value. No check on the portal. You have to check it. Portal doesn't know the data. Portal only accept the data what you give. So it does not have any checks. So chapter 2 notes are uploaded. Thank you. Thank you, Mustafa. Other than reverse charge, right? Because you have to pay output tax of other than reverse charge and you have to pay taxes of reverse charge. So that's why they will do a bifurcation of other than reverse charge and reverse charge. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Ashlisha. Okay. Now we understood section 16 पूरा detail में हमने समझ लिया है. Now we'll go to section 17, which is apportionment of credit and block credit. I was talking so much on block credit. Now, what is that block credit? We will learn under the section 17 and also apportionment. Apportionment, we have basically understood the concept. What is apportionment? Apportionment with CGST, SGST? No, no, no. Apportionment. Remember in the initial we had discussed purpose-based allocation. Kind of. What purpose? Apportionment between eligible ITC and non-eligible ITC. Okay, clear. Kuldeep has now understood it. Yes, for business purposes and personal purposes, you will do the apportionment. And eligible ITC, correct. Now I'm getting the answer that when you do the apportionment between for purpose of business and for the purpose of business, and another apportionment is when you make take input tax credit and do it for the purpose of supply of taxable goods and supply of exempted goods. That is also another apportionment. So you will have two apportionment, correct, Shamli Sharma. That is the second one. You will have apportionment with for two things. So section 17.1 and 17.2, exactly this what we had discussed, that you have to do apportionment between business if it is for wholly taxable supplies and zero rated supplies, it is claimable. If it is for non-taxable supply and for exempt supply, then it is not claimable. So first is apportionment between business and non-business. Business is 100% claimable. Non-business is not claimable. After 100% claimable from business, you will still do a bifurcation where it is wholly taxable and zero rated, then it is claimable. Second, it is not taxable and which is for exempt, it is not claimable. Distribution of profits in case of profit, no Shraddha. Yes, Tanu, you're right. Exemption from GST notice are not uploaded. Prakriti, I have told the Board of Studies, they will upload it because I've already uploaded. I will share it with them again, and hopefully by the coming week it will get uploaded. Okay. What is zero rated supplies? Zero rated supplies is whatever you do exports and whatever you supply to SEZ, they are treated as zero rated supply. Very fast, Ashlisha. Good, good, good going. So you're understanding and grasping. That is what I want all the students to grasp it, that when specific terms are being specified, if you understand it, then any question also becomes easier because most of the times you're confused in your exam paper because you're confused about the questions which have been asked, you're not able to understand the question because some terms are used which you have not seen. That is where your tension increases. But when we keep discussing, you grasp these words because all these words are coming from the law, and I am teaching from the law, and the book also is from the law itself. Right. So if you grasp these words, like how Ashlisha has grasped it, that when I say zero rated supply, it means only two things: exports and supply to SEZ. So you grasp these words, then your question will be understandable. You will spend less time in understanding the question and you'll be confident in answering it then. So there are two things which will come in a GST exam, that the terms and the numbers. If you understand the terms, question becomes easier. Then the technical part, that is how to apply the provisions that anyways I'm teaching you. Then the numbers, you have to grasp the numbers and mention the correct number. A lot of confusions may come up, but if the terms are clear and the concepts are clear, then the paper just becomes a catwalk or a cakewalk because it becomes very easier. If you know the terms, you understand the concept, you know what are they asking for. Once you know the question, your answer will be right. Most of the times, what I see is I see students are answering that, no, sir, I was very confident in the exam. I have written 100 marks and I'm expecting at least 70 marks from the paper. But then when I see the numbers, the results which are coming up, they will get less than 40 because they are confident in answering the question, but they have not answered the question which has been asked for. They've asked a question which is on ITC reversal, but you have given an answer on outward supply. So there is no correlation between the question asked and the answer given. So your answer which you are giving should be in par with the question. Okay. So a lot of students come in the beginning of the class and at the end of the class, and they ask for examination tips. But if they don't understand this, how can I give them the examination tips? That's why I give the examination tips for the students who are dedicated for the subject and who are there active in the class, so that I give them in between the class so that it is helpful to those students who are dedicated. Because some students just take the tips but they don't read. That is not helpful. So you have to be dedicated, understand in the class, then you will get the tips also. Okay, so that is section 17.1 and 17.2. This is what is 17.1 and 17.2. If you go to your study material, they've given various theoretical parts and things like that. But to understand that this chart, if you keep in your mind, section 17.1 and 17.2, you are clear. This is what is given in theoretical form. But I feel this theoretical form is not very much important because if you understand this, you can write it in your own words and you can apply it also. Yes, need to absorb, speak, and write law-based language. Very nice. That's the reason I encourage students to ask questions in the class so that if you ask your question, then you'll be confident. Even if you're wrong, even if your question is not correct, still make an attempt. I will correct it because this is the opportunity for you to make the mistakes and to correct it. Instead of making the mistakes at the exam, making mistakes over here is a better thing because when you type, how much can you type? But when you talk, you can talk a lot of things. That's why I ask students to raise your hands so that I can unmute you and then you can ask your questions. Okay. So this is 17.1 and 17.2. Now going to block credit, which is there in 17.5. What does this block credit means? It means that credits are not available even if it is used for the business. Like till now, we had understood the definition of input tax credit, that any credit which is used for the business is a input tax credit, wherein you are using it for the purpose of supply, which is happening today, or future supply, both of them. But when it comes to block credit, it is a special category. The government recognized that while drafting the law itself, that some credits, even if you use for business, I can't give you, unfortunately. So they are saying that these are called as block credit. So these are credits which are not available even if it is used for business. And all other credits are available provided they are used for supply of goods and services. So we have to block this credit whenever somebody buys the goods or buys these services. They're using it for the business, still they will not get credit of this. Now, what are these block credit? Very important. Again, under section 17.5, you have subsections, but your subsections are not relevant, so I've not given it. Unlike section 16.2, the subsections were important. That's why I brought in those subsections. Here we will not need those subsections, so I'm not bringing it over here. Okay. Now, what is those items which you cannot claim the credit? We are getting into that list directly. First list is that ineligible ITC on vehicles, planes, and ships at a glance. So you don't get credit on purchase or taking the insurance, repair, or leasing of what? All aircraft or vessels. Okay. Now, or any motor vehicle carrying persons having less than 13 seats capacity. Okay. So you don't get credit on motor vehicles, that is vehicles which is having a capacity of less than or equal to 13 people, including the driver's seat. So if you buy a car will have generally what seat? A basic car, not a X Plus car or a Innova car. Normal car will have a seating capacity of 5 people. That car, okay, that car, if a director is using it, he's bought it for business purposes. For his personal car, he has different car. Only for doing his business travel, that he has to go for clients meeting, he's bought a car. Can he claim credit on this car? Yes, he cannot claim it. Not for personal. It is not for personal, Navneet. Can he claim it? Because seating capacity is less than 13, so he cannot claim it. Correct. So even if he use it for it business purposes, still he cannot claim it. Nitin is saying if it is used for business purpose and purchased in firm name, still you cannot claim it, right? No, tourist traveler company will get into it. Normal cases, I'm saying they cannot claim. Tourist and travel company, can they claim? We will see it. Okay. So no ITC will be available when you purchase it of a motor vehicle carrying persons having less than seat capacity. और also एरोप्लेन खरीद लिया है, उसका भी क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा. Or vessels. Vessels is this ship. So motor vehicles, aircraft, and vessels, credit is not available. What all credit is not available when you buy it? On that, whatever GST is charged, that is not available. And every year, which you will pay the insurance, the repair charges, leasing, renting, or hiring, that is also not available. But you can still claim the ITC when you are doing it as a further supply of motor vehicle or vessels. So, car showroom, they buy a car to sell it. Will they not be able to claim it? No, they can claim it because they are buying it for the trading activity, so they can claim it. Second is for when you have bought something for transportation of passengers. So when a car company or a person buys the car for driving it. So what is he using? He's not using it for his personal purposes. He's using it for transportation of passengers. He can claim the credit. You have driving schools. which buy cars, and they will have kind of control on both the accelerators. They'll have accelerator, and control will be on the person who is helping you drive it. So such people who are buying cars for draining purposes, they can claim the credit. And persons who are bought such vehicle for transportation of goods, they can claim the credit. So only four exceptions. Other than this, anybody buying it, they cannot claim the credit. If airplane and vessels, if purchased for purpose of traveling people, ITC is blocked, or for personal use, ITC is blocked. So when a aeroplane company, Air India or Jet Airways, they buy the aeroplane. They are using it for what? For transportation of passengers. And transportation passengers is here. So if it is transportation of passengers, you can still claim ITC. So such person can claim the ITC. Is further supply means trading? Yes. Because you are buying it and further supplying it. That is that product itself, you are doing a further supply. It means trading itself. Yeah, transportation of passengers or goods are for commercial purpose only. Yes. So if you are having a factory and you have to deliver the goods to your customer, every time you are spending on a outside vehicle, so you decide you buy the uh, big truck or a goods vehicle for transporting the goods. So you're using it for the purpose of transportation of goods. So then you will get the credit on that purchase of that truck itself. But transporter claiming need to be registered. That's definitely there. That the first condition to claim the input tax credit itself, we have said that they have to be registered. If they don't register, they cannot claim the ITC at all. Even if I use a five-seater for car, didn't understand your question, Anubhav. If a registered contractor has vehicles using for transportation of goods, can he claim it? Yes. So if a registered contractor is there is using the vehicle for transportation of goods, then definitely he can claim it. By 13%, how to measure it? By modification done in vehicle. Whatever modification done, how many people can sit? Okay. Now 13 people, government has fixed it because they feel that if it is up to 13 people, you will generally use it for personal purposes. If it is more than 13 people, then it is you cannot use it for your personal purpose. You will use it for transportation of goods. That's the reason they've capped the number of seating capacity for up to 13 people. If any person buying car for personal use, okay, then he will not get the credit, but they give it to any other supplier for transportation of passenger, then they can claim a TC. So when they have bought it for personal use, then they cannot claim the ITC. Now, on your second question, I didn't understand how will the second person claim the credit? Because to claim the credit, somebody has to charge it. Now, when you have bought it for your personal purposes, it means do not have a GST registration. So you will not claim the credit and you will not charge the GST as well. Which means that, say, I bought a car today. When I go to the showroom will charge me GST of say 40% rupees because the GST on cars is very high. So 40%. So that GST, he will charge it to me. Okay. That if I'm a registered person, I can claim it. If I'm not registered, then I cannot claim it. So the transportation of passenger for goods are yes, but that they can claim. So this is all an exception, Anubhav, that they can claim it. Even if it is less than 5 persons, they can still claim it. Exception explanation. Ha, Ashlisha. So exception are three things. When you buy a car and sell it, you buy a aeroplane and sell it, or you buy a vessel and sell it, you will get the benefit. No limit will apply. Whatever car you buy, even if it is one-seater, you will still gain the credit. Of course, one-seater, you don't get a car. You get two-seater car. I've seen a Ferrari and a Lamborghini when it has such a big, very expensive, but still it has two people. So Lamborghini definitely will not get the credit. And other small cars also, when you buy, you will not get the credit unless you're buying it and selling it. Okay. So further supply of such motor vehicle, if you're into that business, you can claim it. Second, transportation of passenger. You're using that vehicle for transportation of passenger. You're using it for training purposes or for transportation of goods. Then you can claim the credit. If car is given on rent, yeah, still you cannot claim the credit, or for then you can, because it is for further supply of such vehicle. Then the person who's buying it and giving it for rent, he can claim the credit. Yes, because he is into the business of supply of such motor vehicles. What is ITC on expenses is different from other category given in the table. Mm, didn't understand your question. So, but if any registered person purchases travel of 15-seater for only for family trip, government believes that nobody does such strange things. Okay. You don't buy a car of 15 people's capacity and just keep it in your home. The purchase cost is high, the maintenance cost is high. So I don't think the government is also interested in such crazy ideas. So they've left it. So if you're buying it and using it for personal purpose, use it. Government is saying, okay, no problem. So if possible and time permits, please take once again reversal of ITC. Sure. There are two categories as exemption. Which two categories? Yeah, one is this and second is this. You can still claim ITC on expenses that I'll come back. Let us understand the first part. Can I claim ITC on auto? You cannot claim because it's a motor vehicle. All motor vehicles. So can I claim on two-wheeler? I cannot claim on two-wheeler. I cannot claim on auto because if you're buying it for your personal purpose, you cannot claim it. But the auto driver, he's buying it, he can claim it. But generally, we have seen that to claim the credit, you need to have a registration, and auto driver will not take registration. So he cannot claim it. If he takes the registration, okay, say the weirdest thing, I've not seen any auto driver registering under GST, but you feel that, okay, you are, based on your advice, auto driver has taken registration under GST. You said that, see, boss, you register, you can claim the credit, and it's good for you because you don't have to pay anything, just taxes from your pocket, you have to collect from your customers. So if that person listens to you and he registers, he can claim the credit. Okay. That is the first part. That exception is who can claim it. Second is there is second exception that you can still claim credit on expenses. That is these expenses. This exception is for the full purchases. This second exception is for the expenses which has been incurred. That is first, when these four people buy it, they can claim credit on the insurance also. Now, a car training fellow, okay, if he's providing training, he can claim the credit and all the expenses, yearly insurance, yearly repairs and leasing or renting, whatever it is, on that also he can claim the credit. Second is a manufacturer. A manufacturer, he's manufactured, he's having some car, now he's doing some insurance for it, he can claim it. Generally, he doesn't, but in exceptional cases, say they have to keep a demo piece. On that, they have to take the insurance that they can claim it. Third is a supplier of general insurance. In general insurance company, they do the insurance as a supply. But if they do a reinsurance, if they take the insurance from another insurer, then they can still claim it. So these two people can claim it. Then leasing, what is blocked is purchase is blocked, general insurance is blocked. So people will tell, okay, I'll not buy it, I will take it on lease. That also government has blocked, saying that okay, leasing, renting or hiring of motor vehicles, on that also credit is not available. So directly or indirectly use of motor vehicle is all blocked. Okay. Exception again here is when it is used for output of the same category. Okay. Exception they've said for leasing, renting is that when you take it on lease and you are into the business of subleasing it. Okay. You are into the business of leasing of cars and you have taken a car on lease, then you can claim it. Second exception is very, very important that we have seen that in my city in Bangalore, there are a lot of BPOs. Okay. BPOs and KPOs are there. The law under the act is that because BPO people work at the late night, they have to work in night shifts and things. So government has said that if you are employing a person who has to work on night shift, then you have to compulsorily provide him a car for his safety. So when government has said it is a regulatory obligation. You cannot say, no, no, I will not provide a car. So once the government says that you have to provide a car, you have to provide a car and you will take the car on lease. So in that cases, that credit will be available because you are giving the car when it is obligatory. And obligation comes from a statutory obligation. That's the reason that case credit will be available. What is BPO? BPO is बिजनेस प्रोसेस आउटसोर्सिंग. जब बाहर से काम इंडिया को आउटसोर्स करते हैं, ओके, इंडिया में एक बीपीओ सेंटर होता है जहां पे काम करते हैं, उसे कहते हैं बीपीओ सेंटर. Taxi car is claimable? No. Hiring of motor vehicles, renting. So what we are doing, we are hiring a car. So that's why it is not claimable. So on study material, it is very, very confusing. I have with me, but hardly I understand. In your chart, it is so great. Thank you, Mustafa. Thanks. That point number one, once again, which one, which point number one, Baba? This point number one. Okay, this is only one point appearing. That when a person does further supply, or the person who is doing transportation of passengers, or the person who is doing training, or the transportation of goods, these people, they can claim the credit on the purchase and the expenses also. That is the point number one. Expense like general insurance, renting, maintenance, etc. Yes, those expenses. यूज फॉर आउटपुट ऑफ सेम कैटेगरी. या नाउ अगर मैं कार लीजिंग पे ले देता हूं और मैं कार लीज पे खरीदता हूं, ठीक है, तो मैं दोनों सेम बिजनेस में ही हूं. करेक्ट. या फिर मैं कार लीजिंग में करता हूं और कार खरीदता हूं, सो आई मीन टू सेम बिजनेस. सपोज मैं एक कार, आपको पता है जब कार बुक करनी होती है आप किसी उबर ओला के पहले क्या करते थे, एक एजेंट के पास जाते थे जो ट्रांसपोर्ट करता है या जो कार की फ्लीट रखता है. नाउ उसे किसी कार का डिमांड आ गया और उसके पास कार नहीं रहती है, तो फिर ही विल गो टू अनदर एजेंट एंड से आपके पास कार है, यू गिव इट टू मी एंड आई विल लीज इट टू द कस्टमर. मुझे कस्टमर से आपको डायरेक्ट कनेक्ट नहीं करवाना है, सो आई विल बाई लीजिंग फ्रॉम यू. मैं 2 दिन के लिए आपसे कार लूंगा और मैं 2 दिन के लिए कार यूज करूंगा, फिर आपको दे दूंगा. सो दे आर इन टू द सेम बिजनेस. सो दैट पर्सन इफ इज चार्जिंग जीएसटी, उसके ऊपर क्रेडिट मिलेगा. दैट इज वॉट इट इज मेंट व्हेन इट इज यूज फॉर सेम कैटेगरी. Clear? That is the first blocking. That is motor vehicles, aircraft, and vessels. Credit is not available. Second is these expenses. That is food and beverages. खाने के ऊपर बिजनेस के लिए यूज कर रहे हैं, एम्प्लॉयज के लिए यूज कर रहे हैं. एम्प्लॉयज को खाना देंगे, एम्प्लॉयज को कॉफी देंगे, तभी तो वो एक्टिव रहेंगे, वरना सो जाएंगे. गवर्नमेंट इज सेइंग हम आपको क्रेडिट नहीं देंगे. सो फूड और बेवरेजेस पे क्रेडिट नहीं है. आउटडोर केटरिंग, ठीक है. 10 लोगों के लिए खाना चाहिए, आपने केटरर को बोल दिया कि आप 10 लोगों के लिए खाना देना, रोज देना खाना मेरे एम्प्लॉयज के लिए, क्रेडिट उसके ऊपर भी नहीं मिलेगा। ब्यूटी ट्रीटमेंट, उसके ऊपर भी क्रेडिट नहीं है। हेल्थ सर्विसेज, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस ले लीजिए या मेडिक्लेम कुछ भी लिया आपने ऑफिस स्टाफ के लिए, क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा। कॉस्मेटिक एंड प्लास्टिक सर्जरी, इसके ऊपर भी क्रेडिट नहीं है। लाइफ इंश्योरेंस एंड हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, नॉट ओनली हेल्थ सर्विसेज, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस एंड लाइफ इंश्योरेंस, इसके ऊपर भी क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा। बट ऑल ऑफ दिस के ऊपर क्रेडिट मिलेगा व्हेन, दैट इज व्हेन देयर आर टू एक्सेप्शंस, व्हेन इट इज such services are used for making taxable outward supply of same category। मैं रेस्टोरेंट हूं, मैं दूसरे रेस्टोरेंट से खाना लेके सप्लाई करूंगा, तब क्रेडिट मिलेगा। ओके, बिकॉज इनटू द सेम बिजनेस, सेम कैटेगरी रहनी चाहिए। आउटडोर केटरिंग करता हूँ, मेरे पास आज बंदे नहीं है, आई विल टेक केटरिंग फ्रॉम अनदर पर्सन, दैट केटरिंग का बिल मुझे क्रेडिट मिलेगा। ब्यूटी ट्रीटमेंट, हेल्थ सर्विसेज, लाइफ इंश्योरेंस, मैं इंश्योरेंस प्रोवाइड करता हूँ, लेकिन मेरे पास इतने रिस्क एपेटाइट नहीं है, मैं दूसरे को इंश्योरर या फिर सब इंश्योरेंस या री इंश्योरर वाले के पास जाता हूँ, देन ही विल चार्ज मी जीएसटी, उसका क्रेडिट मुझे मिलेगा। सो ओनली व्हेन आई provide the service and take services from the same category, then I'll get the credit. Second exception is when it is statutory obligation of employer to provide food to the employee or provide any of these services to the employee, then credit is available. Beauty treatment have 18% GST? Yes, it has 18% GST. बट रेस्टोरेंट के लिए तो आईटीसी अलोड ही नहीं है। करेक्ट, रेस्टोरेंट के लिए तो आईटीसी अलोड ही नहीं, ये उसके पहले था दैट सम रेस्टोरेंट्स लाइक 5 स्टार रेस्टोरेंट्स, उनके लिए क्रेडिट अवेलेबल है, बिकॉज देयर दे विल हैव टू चार्ज 18%, तो वहां पे उनके लिए क्रेडिट ये मिल सकता है। If company takes group insurance for its employees, still not available, still not available. If that group insurance लेना obligatory है, then it will be available। the government says कि आपको इंश्योरेंस लेना ही है, लाइक फैक्ट्री एम्प्लॉयज या कुछ हजार्डस प्रोडक्ट्स या फिर कुछ डेंजरस बिजनेस में हो आप, देन द गवर्नमेंट सेज कि आपको लाइसेंस में देने के लिए आपको इंश्योरेंस लेना ही पड़ेगा, देन यू कैन क्लेम द क्रेडिट। जैसे वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होते हैं, कुछ कंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए एम्प्लॉयज आप रखते हो, तब द रेरा itself says that you have to take insurance for the employees, in that case you will get the credit, not in other cases। Workman compensation, is it obligatory and can business claim credit? Yes, workman compensation is obligatory and they can claim the credit। बट उसके लिए क्रेडिट ही क्या रहेगा? Someone purchasing goods at 18% but making outward at 5%, at the end of the financial he wants to close the business and credit ledger showing the balance amount, let's say 18,000, what will be done with that balance ITC? Gone, loss, he cannot claim it, because you can't claim any credit lying in your accounts unless you're doing a zero rated supply or you're making a inverted rate of supply. Otherwise, on the closure of business, your credit is lapsed, you can't do anything with it। गवर्नमेंट आपको वो रिफंड नहीं देगी। लाइक माइनिंग बिजनेस, यस, माइनिंग बिजनेस अ गुड एग्जांपल फॉर इंश्योरेंस। गुड तनु, रिफंड टू बैंक अकाउंट नहीं मिलेगा, नो ऑप्शन। लॉस्ट आगे आएगा, लॉस्ट के लिए भी क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा, दैट विल सी नेक्स्ट। That 18% input and 5% output tax set off, yes, you can set off and balance what is left over. That is called as inverted rate, inverted duty rate of structure, that your input is high and your output is less. Then you can claim the refund. Okay. So these pointers, you can't claim the credit except these two exceptions. Then further, we are still under 17.5. What all are the other credits which you cannot claim? Membership of a club, health or fitness center. Some companies give this benefit to the employees that you can become a member of the fitness club. Okay. वो सब बोलते हैं, लेकिन whatever employees may justify that I have to send my employees to this place and things like that. So still, whatever justification they give, you can't claim the credit of these things. Then travel benefits, which is extended to the employees on vacation, such as leave or home travel concession, that also credit will not be there. Here again, the exception is if it is statutory obligation of an employer to provide to the employee, then he can claim. When it will be a statutory obligation, it will be a statutory obligation when you are sending an employee to a place which is very far, right? There, the obligation may come that, okay, since you are keeping the employee in, say, in a far off region, right? There, it becomes mandatory that you have to give them travel benefits. Then only credit will be available. Normally, it will not be available. Then, works contract services. What is the meaning of a works contract? Works contract means a contract for building, for building up, for construction. Works contract means a contract for building, construction, fabrication, completion, erection, installation, fitting out, improvement, modification, repair, maintenance, renovation, alteration और commissioning. इतना बड़ा definition है. Luckily, you don't have to remember this. इतना बड़ा पूछेंगे नहीं. It's not like a memory test over here कि आपको ये पूछेंगे कि tell me the definition of works contract. Definitely they not ask, but you need to understand what is the works contract. Works contract means a contract for building, construction, all of this. मतलब आप छोटा काम कीजिए, बड़ा काम कीजिए, all of that where you are doing alteration or commissioning of any immovable property. This is very important. कि अगर any kind of civil works you're doing for an immovable property, wherein the transfer of property in goods, whether as goods or in some other form, is involved in the execution of such contract, that is a works contract. Why we are reading this definition of works contract? Because GST on works contract is not available. Okay, so that's why we are reading this definition of works contract कि कुछ भी आप बिल्डिंग बनाते हो, कंस्ट्रक्शन करते हो, ऑल्ट्रेशन करते हो, रिपेयर करते हो, मॉडिफिकेशन करते हो, anything which you do, credit will not be available on that. All of that is a works contract. Okay, who can claim the credit? We will see that. But generally works contract के ऊपर जो भी हम पैसा देते हैं टू अ डेवलपर फॉर अ डेवलपिंग माई हाउस, उसके ऊपर क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा. ओके, बट डेवलपमेंट ऑफ फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग, उसके ऊपर भी क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा. Okay, but before that, there are a lot of things to understand. If it is an input service for further supply of works contract services, so generally works contract जब हम लेते हैं GST नहीं मिलेगा. Okay, but if it is a input for further supply of works contract, then I'll get the credit. That is when I'm a builder or a developer, I'm doing commercial construction, okay, and I'm subcontracting my work, then I can claim the credit. Okay, so a builder or developer can claim the credit if he is not restricted. Like for residential construction, there is a restriction, so he can't claim a credit. For commercial complex, for commercial building, if he's doing any construction, then he can claim the credit. Okay. Second exception is if that construction is happening on immovable property, which is resulting in a plant and machinery. Okay. So if I'm doing a immovable property and that immovable property is a plant or machinery, suppose like a petroleum. Now, to save the petroleum, you have to have a big plant, right? The trucks will come in and you have to store it in a tanker. Now, that tanker you are constructing and placing it and becomes an immovable property. You know what is an immovable property, right? कि जो property है या construction करके जो end result आता है वो movable नहीं है. Like a fan. Fan is fixed, but is it movable or immovable? It is fixed for the purpose of usage. That doesn't make it an immovable property. वो कभी भी आप खोल करके dismantle करके वापस फिक्स कर सकते हो दूसरी जगह पे. सो फैन इज अ मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी. सो समथिंग लाइक द पेट्रोलियम टैंक, व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, अगर आप उसको शिफ्ट करना है, यू कांट शिफ्ट इट, यू हैव टू डेमोलिश इट. तो इट्स एन इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी. बिल्डिंग जो है इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी है. So anything which you are using it, constructing it and using it, and you are not able to reuse it, that becomes a criteria to say that it is an immovable property. Sir, in immovable property, building has damage or collapse. Can they claim ITC? They cannot claim the ITC. Construction के ऊपर आपको credit नहीं मिलेगा. Collapse होने पे कैसे मिलेगा? Definitely you will not claim the credit. Okay. So these things, when it is a immovable property, you cannot claim the credit. Exception is this: when a developer is using it for his further supply. Second exception is when such immovable property is a plant and machinery. So if a contractor is buying cement, saria, etc. for construction service and the GST, he cannot claim it. Yes, अगर वो contractor है residential के लिए तब claim नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन अगर commercial के लिए है तो claim कर सकता है. कमर्शियल के लिए कर सकता है. यस. सर, एनी जीएसटी ऑन हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस? यस, इट वाज देयर फ्रॉम दिस नवरात्रि. मोदी हैज गिवन अ गिफ्ट एंड नाउ हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस के ऊपर देयर इज नो जीएसटी, मिसेस लक्ष्मी प्रिया. बट प्रायर टू दिस, जीएसटी वाज देयर ऑन द हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस. Okay. So first exception is if it is for further supply. Second exception is if such immovable property is plant and machinery. Third exception is ITC in respect of construction services which is not capitalized. Okay. Whether for immovable property or plant and machinery allowed to all recipients. That is, if you are not capitalizing it, ITC in respect of construction service which is not capitalized. Example, now you're doing this alteration is generally blocked, but they have said any of these immovable property which is capitalized, then you will not get the credit. But which is not being capitalized, suppose आपके पास एक बिल्डिंग है, अब उसमें रिपेयर करना है, that is routine repair work like repair and maintenance या पेंटिंग वर्क कुछ करते हो, okay, that you will not capitalize it, because what you capitalize is dependent on your accounting books of accounts. So if you are capitalizing this repairs, saying that no, my value of the building is increasing, then you cannot claim the credit. But generally business जो repair करते हैं, painting करते हैं, वो expensive करते हैं, तब उसके ऊपर credit मिलेगा. अगर if you capitalize it only for this, don't apply that for any other thing. So only for works contract, whatever you're capitalizing, you will not get the credit. But what you are not capitalizing it, that you can claim the credit. Yes, LIC and health insurance पे GST लेते थे पहले, right? So construction of building for a client for residential purpose is done for commercial purpose by the builder. Oh, so construction of building for a client for residential purpose is done for commercial purpose. What do you mean by construction done for residential purpose is done for commercial purpose? No, the stay is for residential purpose itself. So it is a residential purpose itself, not a commercial. So credit is not available. Okay, very tough, but you have understood it. But I'm not seeing the questions coming in here for this. Is this chapter, is this topic on ITC on works contract understood or no? Builder is doing for profit. Builder may be doing for profit or he may be doing for loss also. Understood. Good. Why no ITC if capitalized? Because if you're capitalizing it, you are using it for a long-term duration and government wants to block credit on such. But अगर if छोटा मोटा रिपेयर है उसके ऊपर देना चाहती है, that's why they've given it. But otherwise, generally works contract के ऊपर आपको credit नहीं मिलेगा. So will the questions be based on new GST amendments? Maybe on new and old, but relevant is the new amendments. You have to answer based on the amendments. Yes, routine construction related services, ITC is claimable. Yes, Mrs. Steffi. Ineligible ITC can business claim it as expenses in accounts? Ineligible ITC, yes, because it's a cost to you, you can definitely claim it. Good question, Ashlisha. Yes. Our books of May 2016 will contain all the amendments, but what happens after the books are published? GST law is so very dynamic, Mustafa, that notifications and circular comes in, right? So 6 months, up to 6 months prior to the examination date, okay, whatever comes in is not applicable, but prior to that, whatever comes in, that's why you have a statutory update which will come up. And in that statutory update, the relevant notifications and circulars will come in that you have to read so you will understand the things what is relevant for you. If a person is supplying commercial construct services as well as residential, then will it be bifurcation? Yes. So residential part he cannot claim, commercial part he can claim. So generally what happens in construction, for each construction it's a big project, so they will form a separate JV or a separate company for each of the separate projects so that it doesn't get mixed up. If government departments construct a building in government property, they can claim ITC? No. Government also cannot claim it. Since it is blocked, it is blocked for everyone. Sir, it's the client who is using it, but the builder is doing for profit. Still, what is the end purpose, end use that is relevant, not what is the purpose of the constructor. Constructor is always doing it for commercial purpose only. But credit is not available if the end product is a residential building. How do you know that? Because you get the approval. So you have to take approval before construction. There it will be mentioned if it is a residential or commercial. So if a company construct building for stay of their employee, then ITC still not allowed. Not allowed. Prerna understood. Very nice. Pranav. What is the difference between ITC blocked and ITC not available? ITC blocked means आपके पास GST 2B में दिख रहा है, but you cannot claim it. That is called a block credit. ITC not available means आपने 16(2) के conditions meet नहीं किए. That's why ITC is not available. So if construction of dam for river, can they claim the ITC? They cannot claim because they have blocked it. So any works contract will be blocked itself. A builder constructing a society and sell the units, then he is not eligible to claim the ITC even if he is registered. Yes, he is not eligible to claim it. Okay. So works contract. Now, works contract के बाद people have tried playing that, okay, works contractor के ऊपर I will not claim the credit. So I will not give a contract for construction. What I'll do is I'll purchase material myself and I'll give labor work. I'll call a laborer and tell him that do the work. Then I claim the credit. So government knows that people will do like this because government is not a fool. They have been under the VAT laws before VAT, sales tax, excise, and lot of things, and SENVAT rules. So they know people will do it. So that's the reason they said that. We'll come to plant and machinery. That's why they said that either you do works contract or you do construction of immobile on own account, still you will not get the credit. So if you do give it to a works contractor and get it, generally people do that because you're not an expert, right? You need a works contractor to do it. So you give work to a works contractor. So when you give work to a works contractor, he does something, credit not available. But if you do try to bypass that. You're very smart, right? Indians are very smart. That's why we are called as Jugad people. Any person outside India, they don't know how to do Jugad. But Indians know how to do Jugad and how to get the work done. So, okay, straight away, you're not giving me credit. उंगली सीधी हाथ से नहीं आ रही है उंगली को टेढ़ा कर देते हैं आई विल डू परचेज माई सेल्फ द मटीरियल्स एंड डू द कंस्ट्रक्शन तो गवर्नमेंट साइड नहीं उसके ऊपर भी क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा इधर अ वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रैक्टर और कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ एन इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी ऑन योर ओन अकाउंट क्रेडिट इज नॉट अवेलेबल एक्सेप्शन जैसे वहां पे प्लांट एंड मशीनरी का एक्सेप्शन था यहाँ पर भी सेम कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ प्लांट एंड मशीनरी के ऊपर आपको क्रेडिट मिलेगा आईटीसी इन रेस्पेक्ट ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन सर्विस विच इज नॉट कैपिटलाइज्ड again same which is not capitalized उसके ऊपर मिलेगा and when the construction is not on own account फिर आपको मिलेगा because you're doing construction for somebody else then credit will be available so the exceptions for works contract and immobile property both are same. Good number of questions. Sir, in works contract, repair is also mentioned. Then why on repair ITC allowed if it is not capitalized? Because that's an exception, right? They've said if you do a repair and you capitalize it, then I will not give you credit. But if you do repair and you don't capitalize it, that's the exception which I will give it to you. If plant and machinery are disposed after useful life and incurred heavy cost on dismantling, then if company can claim ITC, they've incurred cost on dismantling, right? It is litigative, but I think you can claim it because if you don't dismantle, it's part of the business activity to dismantle it. So you should be claiming the available to claim the credit. But it's very litigative. Government will say, no, we will not give the credit, but you should claim the credit, I would say. Can a farmer claim ITC for tractor? You tell me. Good question. Can a farmer claim ITC for a tractor? Because it is a motor vehicle. Is it a motor vehicle firstly? Because you're using it for farm. And can he claim the credit? Only movable property can claim ITC. Aditya, no. Yeah, sorry. Immovable property you cannot claim. Only movable property you can claim ITC. You're right. Yes, correct, Anubhav. Yes, correct, Tanu. No, correct. Farmer is doing either he's unregistered or even if he becomes registered, if he does only supply of agricultural goods, right, which is exempted agricultural goods, so it will be exempted. So a tractor, a farmer cannot claim ITC on the tractor purchase, Pranav. Yes, agriculture purpose is exempted. Correct. For exam supply, no ITC. Dismantling cost, why will you capitalize? Uh-huh. So when you buy something, you will capitalize it. When you're dismantling it, you will not capitalize because you will capitalize things which you will use it for future, which you are dismantling it. You're like disposing it of this year itself. You will not capitalize it at all. Way to capitalize? Capitalize in your books of accounts. Okay. Whatever you do in your books of accounts, that capitalization itself is relevant here. If the land of farmer is collapsed, can they claim ITC? No, no, nothing like that. What is there with ITC for farmer? Nothing. No, they cannot claim it. How to define own purpose? That own purpose means whatever you're doing as a self construction. You're doing the construction for your own. You're building your own factory building. That is called as own construction. Okay. Now, in all these two, works contract and immovable property construction, we saw that there is a common exception for plant and machinery. Now, what is this plant and machinery defined as is what we'll see. So, cost of conveyance of machine from place A to place B for further use. Is ITC available? Yes, ITC is available there because you are transporting the machinery. You can claim the credit on that. There is no, it is not coming under block credit. Now, plant and machinery has been defined as plant and machinery means apparatus, equipment, and machinery which is fixed to earth by foundation or structural support that are used for making outward supply of goods or services or both and includes such foundation and structural support. Very technical. Let's break this up. Apparatus, matlab any kind of article, any kind of support or any kind of a equipment. Okay. So plant and machinery means any apparatus, equipment, and machinery which is fixed to the earth. Because we are saying plant and machinery in the context of a immovable property. Otherwise, we know generally plant and machinery. What is plant and machinery? Laptop also is a plant and machinery according to the Income Tax Act. But plant and machinery, when it comes to immovable property, means those plant and machinery which is a machinery fixed to the earth by foundation or structural support that is used for making any outward supply of goods and includes such foundation and structural support. Let's say that petroleum tank example. Next is any kind of a give example of lift. You're doing a construction of your factory building. उसके ऊपर आपको credit नहीं मिलेगा because it's a works contract. But in that building, you are installing a lift. Now that lift, you are using it for transportation of passengers and transportation of goods. Will that be a plant and machinery? Yes, it will be because it is equipment which is fixed to the earth. Inside the lift, you can move, but the overall lift is fixed to the earth, right? अगर वो lift का अंदर का दरवाजा भी fix कर देंगे, then you can't move, right? That's not the objective. The objective is that the lift is movable within the lift. करेक्ट जो फ्रेम उसका बनाया है उसके अंदर मूवेबल है सो विल द लिफ्ट बिकम मूवेबल और इमूवेबल lift will be immovable only. When you say to a small kid, he will tell, how are you telling lift is immovable? I can move from first floor to second floor, I can move it. So it's movable. That's not the criteria. The criteria is whether the whole lift is immovable. Yes, the whole lift is immovable. That's why. And that structure, what we do on that, we can claim the credit. But it excludes land, building, or any other civil structure or telecommunication towers because they don't want to give credit on telecommunication towers. So they've said land, building, civil structures, telecommunication towers, and pipelines laid outside the factory premises. On these three things, we will not consider them as plant and machinery. Apart from that, everything else is a plant and machinery. Natural resource extraction model building. Okay, what is this? Ah, one question of Naveen Moria is there is a atta chakki machine. It is fixed to the earth. So is it a fixed thing or is it a immobile property or mobile property? Some things we fix it. Now like fan. Fan also you have fixed it. ACA, ACB you have fixed it. So you will call the AC and fan as a mobile property or immobile property. Like fan, many have said that it is mobile property. Similarly, this machinery also, can you remove that, dismantle it, use it at other place without any damage? Then it is mobile property. The concept of mobile and immobile is very, very tough. But simple tips I will give you. अगर किसी चीज को हमने फिक्स किया है उसका वॉबलिंग स्टॉप करने के लिए, to stop its wobbling, then you're using it only for a functional use, that it should not move. That's why you're fixing it to the earth. Just fixing to the earth doesn't make it as a immobile property. Why it is fixed also you have to understand. After fixing, how do you dismantle it? Do you have to fully demolish it? Then it's an immobile property. You don't have to demolish, you have to just remove it and place it in another place. Then it's a then it's a movable property. Clear, Navneet? A fixation on earth is mandatory? Yes, generally. It's a form of civil structure, natural resource extraction model. Right, Ashlisha. In hospital, oxygen plant is installed. Will that be taxable? So hospital, you have a oxygen plant, correct? So they fix it at one place so that it should be at one place. So it is a mobile thing. So credit can be claimed on it. Credit is claimable. BMRCL is Bangalore, giving contract to other companies for civil construction like metro station and such railway line erecting, including its plant for providing metro service. Correct. So then it will be available because they are using it as a plant and machinery. Good experience you're sharing, Linga, that whenever they give to contractors, that credit will be available. Credit is not available for immobile property, but credit is available for mobile property. You're right, Naveen. There are big stays in the plant which are movable from one machine to another machine for use and are very costly. Yes, then ITC on there can be availed. Yes, definitely. Okay, so we understood plant and machinery, works contract, and construction of immobile property on own account. Then the another credit. Okay, last slide on credit, then we'll take a break. These things you again cannot claim the credit. Inward supplies charged on tax under composition levy. Definitely, when you're purchasing from a composition dealer, the government is giving his benefit. So he should not charge, but in case he's charging it, then credit is not available to you. Inward supplied received by a non-resident taxable person. A non-resident person comes to India, does business, he cannot claim any credit except the goods which he is importing. If he's brought the goods by importing, on that customs duty he'll pay, but on that IGST he can claim it. Other than that, local whatever he's purchasing, non-resident should not do business in India. That's why credit is blocked for him. Then goods or services used for personal consumption, definitely या personal consumption के ऊपर credit नहीं मिलेगा. Lost goods, somebody was asking this. When I lose the goods, when my goods are stolen, when the goods are destroyed, goods that are written off, or goods which are disposed of by way of free gift or free sample, on this credit will not be available. Okay. Then tax paid in fraud cases or detection and quantification confiscation, on that also credit is not available. In book given duct and manhole, what is this? I will tell you. So duct is where the pipeline goes, that is called duct, and manhole where the holes are being made, that is called manholes. So why no credit on goods written off as same is sometimes necessary part of business, but credit on that will not be available because government says we'll give you a credit if you sell that. But for whatever reasons you're not able to sell, like example medicine or pharma where it is expired, you're writing it off. Credit आपको reverse करना ही पड़ेगा. Under composition scheme, GST is paid by the composition dealer from his own pocket. That's the reason credit is not available. You're right, Shamdi. Yes, correct. Okay. So we'll take a last question. Sir, on sale of tree, which can severed from ground, ITC claimable? How, what is the ITC for you to claim? There's no ITC at all for which you can claim it. Say the machineries which are used, right? That you can claim if you're selling the tree on GST. But generally, the trees or the wood what you sell that will be exempted, so credit will not be available. Captive power generating plant set up by company for electricity supply to grid of government of India. Whether this is eligible for ITC on supply of electricity to government? Yes, this will be available. So where are you getting these questions from, Linga? Is it some search engine or you are generating these questions? Or is it from some question paper? If a restaurant bill is generated to a registered person for his office meeting, still credit is not available. Food and catering services credit is not available at all. Okay. So as I said, these are the total block credits. So we'll take a break and then we'll come back in 10 minutes. Yes. So we can start. Okay. So inward supplies, which is blocked, we have understood in this slide that any tax under composition scheme, tax received by any inputs by a non-resident taxable person, he cannot claim it. Goods and services used for personal consumption, definitely not available. Lost goods, stolen goods, destroyed goods, goods that are written off, goods disposed of are given by way of free sample. So these pharma companies, they give free samples to doctors. They give free samples to patients ki aap test kijiye. Generally not to patients because patients will be reluctant. They give free samples to doctors for them to prescribe it. So when they supply this, they don't charge anything. That's why it's called free sample, definitely. So on these free samples, on the purchase cost, whatever input tax is involved, they have to calculate that and they have to reverse it because they can't claim the credit on this. Somebody was asking on silos, whatever is used, can they claim the credit? What are these silos? I've not understood. Big silos used for cooling the plant would come under definition of plant. Yes, that will come under the definition of plant and machinery. Yeah, Anubhav, you're right. A composition supplier cannot charge, so he will not charge. In case he charges, okay, he's violating it. That government will find out him. But you should not say that no, since he's given in his invoice, I will claim the credit. That is not available. Yes, Sayyid Hussain, do you have any question? Can't hear you. Okay. Silos are constructed in steel plant to store iron ore. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Vedant, at the end, your request is connecting this with the ICAI module. Now, see, the content, what I have kind of compressed in this is a lot of content. So going back to the study material and referring this would be really difficult. Uh, if you can do the reading, because this is a specific request from you, because all of this is there in the study material, right? It is all coming from the study material itself, nowhere else. So if you can do a reading and come back with your questions. So I take all the questions. It's been a record that I have been taken every question, small or big. So if there are any questions when you do a reading of our material with the study material, if you feel something is missed out, you can definitely come back. Not only for this chapter, after this chapter gets completed, next chapter when I read, also you can come back and you can ask your question. Electric vehicle can claim ITC. If that satisfies that first condition, then it can claim, otherwise no. Sir, you said that there is GST for health insurance, and in new amendment, GST has been removed for health insurance. Yes. That is why I asked whether the exam will be as per the new GST amendment. No. This amendment has just happened now, right? It has happened now, and that has not yet been effective, right? The in the thing, yeah, it's been effective now. So it will not be there in the book, definitely, but it will come in the amendments. So if it comes in the statutory updates, then it will be relevant for you. If it doesn't come for your exam, because you have multiple exams now, right? You have one in May and one in September. So this is for September 25. Definitely it will not apply. Of course, September is over. January also it will not apply because there should any amendments coming prior to 6 months because people start reading very much before the time. So they don't want to disturb the recent amendments. Now we are in September, October, November, December, January. It's just been 4 months. So those amendments, Lakshmi Priya, it will not apply for January 2026. But for May, That 6 months gap, again, you have to see, go back from May 26th. Yeah, next is June, right? Now your attempts also have been like three times, so I don't know. So say next attempt is in after January, it is June. So for June, you have to go 6 months back. That is any amendments coming up till November. Okay. December, Jan, Feb, March, April, May. So coming up till October. Amendments up to October, whatever is happening, that will be relevant for the June exam. Okay. That's how you have to calculate. That is clearly specified in your study material itself, that up till what cutoff date amendments which are coming in, that you have to read. Clear? If I write amended answer in exam, what do you mean by amended answer? So in my case, some material has theft but still not recovered and final report not yet received, but insurer is not giving GST portion. And the same time, our company is agreed on that, right? So on case, so your contract with the insurance, it's an insurance contract, but basically it is loss of goods. So on loss of goods, you have to reverse your credit. No option on that. So Navneet, you're saying you write two answers. One is pre-amendment, one is after amendment. नहीं नहीं, you have to write one answer. They can't, you can't give option to the examiner saying that choose whichever is relevant. You can't do that. Where can we get this amendment, Savia Khan? In the Board of Studies online. When you go ICAI portal, Board of Studies, you have intermediate. Within intermediate, you see the statutory updates. There you will get it. This is a revenue loss in form of GST, right? This is your revenue loss, correct? Okay. So I think block credit, lot of questions, good encouragement. We have understood this. Now let's proceed for the next aspect. So block credit के ऊपर आपको credit नहीं मिलेगा. Now ITC in the hands of supplier for sales promotion schemes. Okay. This we have understood, but we'll just touch upon this since we have done this. That any sample and free gifts which we are giving on that ITC shall be available to the supplier if the activity of distribution of gifts or free samples falls within the scope of supply under Schedule 1. What is this? You've learned Schedule 1, right? Now you tell me what is this? Because Schedule 1, it's a simple aspect. So then now, just now in the previous slide, I said ITC will not be available. But here I'm saying ITC will be available, referring it to Schedule 1. What does it mean? ITC not available, need to reverse. ठीक है अनुभव, लेकिन अभी मैं बोल रहा हूँ ITC will be available on the case of Schedule 1. So brush up your learnings in Schedule 1, then you'll get your answer. Oh, you've forgotten Schedule 1, very, very less answers coming in. Come on. Supply made even without consideration. Very good, Kuldeep. There should be a supply for consideration for further business. No Anubhav. Supply without consideration, correct. So in case of free sample, it is supply without construction, without consideration itself. Yeah, you're right, Prajapata. But what we are saying in terms of free samples, without consideration, yes. So इसमें without consideration है. So if it is without consideration, तो फिर जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा या नहीं? Supply between related party, yes, all of these things are there. But अभी इतने pointers में what is relevant for us? No GST. No GST. Why no GST? We have to pay. Correct? So government says that in case, yeah, some more answers are there. Let me see all the answers. No GST. No, no. When there is free samples, there is no consideration, no GST. But then there is an exception which is given in Schedule 1. I think you have not understood Schedule 1 properly. That's the reason this confusion. I will explain you here that generally no consideration, no GST. We understand that. Correct? Lekin, if there is the exception, saying that if there is no consideration, still you have to pay GST, that is Schedule 1. Now, when that Schedule 1 has various items, one item is when you're disposing of such assets, it is coming under Schedule 1, which means on disposal, there is no consideration, but you have to pay GST. One of this is free samples. Free samples is like a disposal, and there is no consideration, but you have to pay GST. So, in such case, when you are paying GST, treating it as a Schedule 1 supply, then you don't have to reverse ITC. Okay. When ITC you will reverse when you're not paying GST on your supply. So government will not take both the benefits. They will tell ITC also reverse and pay GST on your supply also. So फिर the manufacturer will get under loss. So that's why there's a exception, or this is the rule, that if the free sample is sold, we have to reverse the ITC. But if you are paying GST on your outward supply, treating it as a Schedule 1 item, then you don't have to reverse ITC. Clear? That is the point. So your Schedule 1 understanding is weak. Please refresh, because I didn't get answer from even a single person. No consideration, so no GST. That's right, Prerna. But Schedule 1 is an exception to that rule. Yes, yes, Savikan, you're right. Now you're right that yes, Schedule 1 is deemed to be supplied. That's why GST is charged. ठीक है, सैयद हुसैन वंस मोर हिंदी में ऑन रिवर्सल ऑफ आईटीसी ऑन फ्री सैंपल्स। जब हम फ्री सैंपल, एक कंपनी है रैनबैक्सी अगर एक नया मेडिसिन लेके आती है और फ्री सैंपल देती है, तो फ्री सैंपल जब देती है, सेक्शन 17(5) बोलता है आपको आईटीसी रिवर्स करना चाहिए। तो आपने आईटीसी रिवर्स कर लिया। ठीक है, ये फर्स्ट ऑप्शन है। अब मैं बोल रहा हूं कि आपको आईटीसी रिवर्स नहीं करना है सेकेंड ऑप्शन में। कब नहीं करना है? जब मैं उसको शेड्यूल 1 आइटम ट्रीट करूंगा और मैं फ्री सैंपल के ऊपर भी जीएसटी पे करूंगा। क्यों पे करूंगा? क्योंकि शेड्यूल 1 में बताया गया कि आप जब भी डिस्पोज करते हो कुछ भी, उसके ऊपर आपको जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा। तो अगर आपने डिस्पोजल के ऊपर जीएसटी पे कर दिया है, तब आपको आईटीसी रिवर्स करने की जरूरत नहीं है। ये बोलता है शेड्यूल 1। रिवर्सल करना होगा जब आप जीएसटी सप्लाई पे नहीं करते हो, लेकिन आप सप्लाई पे करते हो तो रिवर्स नहीं करना होगा। क्लियर सैयद हुसैन साहब? करेक्ट। सिंपल है, नवनीत ने समझ लिया कि अगर आप आउटवर्ड देंगे तो आईटीसी मिलेगा, अगर आउटवर्ड नहीं देंगे तो आईटीसी नहीं मिलेगा। करेक्ट। ठीक है, सो दैट्स द फर्स्ट थिंग। सेकेंड, फ्री सैंपल्स हम समझ गए। अभी बाई वन गेट वन का ऑफर्स आते हैं। तो बाई वन गेट वन के जब ऑफर्स आते हैं, आईटीसी विल बी अवेलेबल बिकॉज सच ऑफर इज ट्रीटेड एज अ मिक्स सप्लाई, कि आप एक लो एक पाओ, बाई वन गेट वन फ्री जब बोलते हो, गवर्नमेंट नोज की कुछ फ्री नहीं मिलता है इस दुनिया में। जो बाई वन गेट वन बोलता है वो फर्स्ट में ही सेकेंड का भी प्राइस इंक्लूड कर देता है, तो फिर वो कॉम्पोजिट सप्लाई हो गया है। तो फिर आप जो फ्री है उसके ऊपर भी आप जीएसटी कलेक्ट कर रहे हो, तब आपको आईटीसी मिलेगा, रिवर्स करने की जरूरत नहीं है। क्लियर है यहां तक? थर्ड पॉइंट, discounts including buy more save more offer. Here the supplier will be entitled to avail ITC subject to reversal of ITC by the recipient. That is, हमने देखा है ना, जब क्रेडिट नोट इशू करेंगे, when we give discounts, क्या मेरे को क्रेडिट रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा? नहीं, क्योंकि we have seen under the definition or under the chapter of value of supply, whenever I give discount I will give through a credit note, and when I give through a credit note the receiver will have to reverse the credit. जब वो रिवर्स कर देता है तब my conditions are fulfilled, I do not have to reverse the input tax credit. Okay, that is in case of discounts which satisfies the conditions of pre-sale and post-sale through a agreement. But if there are secondary discounts which is not known at the time of supply, and there is no clarity that there is no contract between the supplier and recipient, then in that case, ITC need not be reversed, but they are just discounts which are not reduced from the sales price. You have to brush up the chapter of value of supply, then you'll understand this. So दोनों डिस्काउंट पे मुझे तो आईटीसी रिवर्स करना ही नहीं है. In the first discount, the recipient will reverse it. In case of secondary discount, neither I can reduce my output tax. So there is no question of reversal of ITC because it will be passed on as a discount through a commercial credit note. If composite supply include both items, even if composite supply includes both taxable and non-taxable, what is the principal supply that will be applicable? उसमें secondary supply exempted भी हुआ, फिर भी जो main supply है that will be relevant. Good question, Kuldeep. It is only for trade discount or cash discount also? Both तनु दोनों के लिए. कमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट टैक्स होल वैल्यू पे लगेगा, कमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट पे टैक्स नहीं लगेगा. ठीक है, इसीलिए उसे बोलते हैं कमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट, जिसके ऊपर टैक्स आप चार्ज नहीं करोगे, लेकिन प्रिंसिपल में से डिस्काउंट मिलेगा. यू राइट. ओके, नेक्स्ट एस्पेक्ट, आईटीसी रिवर्सल ऑन टाइम एक्सपायर्ड मेडिसिन. वी नो दिस, लेकिन हाउ डज द प्रोसेस वर्क? कि देर इज अ मैन्युफैक्चरर, मैन्युफैक्चरर मैन्युफैक्चर करता है मेडिसिन को, फिर वो देता है डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर विल गिव इट टू अ होलसेलर, एंड होलसेलर विल गिव टू अ रिटेलर. So these are the four parties which are involved in a supply chain of a medicine. Now any leg it can get expired, मोस्टली इट गेट एक्सपायर्ड एट द लेग ऑफ द रिटेलर, क्योंकि रिटेलर के पास तो जल्दी गुड्स पहुंच जाता है, फिर वो अगर सेल नहीं करता है तो वो गुड्स फिर एक्सपायर हो जाते हैं। तो इन सच केस ऑफ एक्सपायर्ड गुड्स, गुड्स हैज टू गेट रिटर्न। तो आप बेच नहीं सकते हो, बिकॉज ड्रग लाइसेंस डजंट परमिट दैट यू सेल एक्सपायर्ड गुड्स। तो फिर क्रेडिट रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा। तो जब आपको क्रेडिट रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा, उसका इम्पैक्ट कैसे होगा, ये एक सर्कुलर के थ्रू बताया गया है। Okay, and this circular says, this circular says that if the retailer is a registered person, right? A return can be made by the retailer or the wholesaler to the manufacturer, either by raising a credit note or treating the same as a fresh supply. There are two options. Okay. Now, the last person, the pharmacy person from whom you buy the medicines, goods are lying with him. Now, how will he return back the goods? He will raise an invoice for this return based on the original invoice received. तो original invoice आया, कस्टमर को बेचने की बजाय होलसेलर को फिर से सेल करेगा। ठीक है, सो ही विल रेज अ इनवॉइस, ही विल डेफिनेटली गेट द क्रेडिट, एंड ऑन दिस इनवॉइस द होलसेलर और इफ इज रेजिंग अ इनवॉइस इन द मैन्युफैक्चरर, दे कैन क्लेम द क्रेडिट। क्लियर है ये? वेरी सिंपल। I am a retailer. I will raise an invoice. I will get the credit based on my invoice. What I will raise to a manufacturer. A manufacturer can also claim the credit because उसको goods मिल रहे हैं। ठीक है। इफ इट्स अ कॉम्पोजिशन टैक्स पेयर, उसने परचेज किया, टैक्स लगा, वो जब बेच रहा है जीएसटी चार्ज नहीं कर सकता है। सो व्हेन ही रिटर्न दिस, ही विल आल्सो रेज अ इनवॉइस। दिस he will pay the taxes on his own behalf, and manufacturer wholesaler, we know that in the block credit नहीं मिलेगा, तो in this case credit will not be available, he will not be eligible to avail the credit. थर्ड केस, इफ इट्स अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन, फार्मेसी वाला छोटा है, उसके ऊपर हमने जीएसटी तो चार्ज कर दिया, लेकिन जब वो रिटर्न करेगा वो जीएसटी चार्ज नहीं करेगा, उसके लिए वो जीएसटी लॉस है। ओके। थर्ड, अभी लास्ट पॉइंट, मैन्युफैक्चरर, मैन्युफैक्चरर के पास गुड्स आ गए हैं, उसने क्रेडिट ले लिया है। ऑन द फर्स्ट केस, जो रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन था, हम एक एक केस लेते हैं फर्स्ट। Here is my magic pen. Should my drawings be understood? Yeah, good. Smart pen. So when the registered person returns to the manufacturer, he will take the credit because हमने यहाँ पे बोला है that manufacturer will be eligible to claim the credit. लेकिन now this manufacturer is not selling it. Correct? He is not selling it. Then what he is doing? He is destroying these medicines because उसको destroy करना ही है. The ultimate responsibility is of the manufacturer. The retailer को वो नहीं बोल सकता कि तुम destroy कर लो. It has to come to the manufacturer. He has to destroy it. So when he gets back these goods, he will destroy this and he will reverse the ITC because on destroying the goods, ITC reverse करना चाहिए. So he will reverse the ITC and whatever ITC is claimed, he will reverse it. First case. Second case में नो प्रॉब्लम, बिकॉज इसमें तो एक क्रेडिट ले ही नहीं रहा है, डेमोलिश करेगा, कुछ नहीं करना है। और थर्ड केस में भी कुछ नहीं करना है बिकॉज उसने तो जीएसटी चार्ज नहीं किया है। सो ओनली इन द फर्स्ट केस दैट विल बी रेलेवेंट, दैट जो भी आईटीसी लिया है उसे रिवर्स करना है। क्लियर? So if a supplier issues commercial credit note, for example, 30% on 100, then tax तो 100 पे 18% means जीएसटी देगा एंड प्रिंसिपल वैल्यू 17 ही हो जाएगा। नहीं नवनीत, कमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट पे जीएसटी चार्ज करेगा ही नहीं वो। So there's no question of charging any GST there. Clear है? This is a good example. इसमें questions आ सकते हैं because these are all circulars and there could be some short questions which may be asked on this. ठीक है, लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट एस्पेक्ट। सेक्शन 16 हो गया, सेक्शन 17 हो गया, लास्ट सेक्शन सेक्शन 18। सेक्शन 18 क्या बोलता है? क्रेडिट इन स्पेशल सर्कमस्टेंसेस। दिस इज अ लिटिल ट्रिकी। आपको आई हैव प्रिपेयर्ड यू विद द बेसिक्स वेरी स्ट्रांगली नाउ। 18, even if it is tricky, we will understand it. Can you give a numerical example for ITC of registered person to a manufacturer bank? Okay. In few slides, we mentioned ITC of when write off items, ITC not available. We are definitely sticking to that point. We are definitely sticking to that point. Yes. So I will explain this with examples and numbers. Then you can understand this. Before getting into 18, let's understand this concept with numbers. Okay. As usual, our writing board is ready. Yeah. So Ranbaxy थोड़ा नाम बड़ा हो गया ना. We'll take Sun Pharma. Sun Pharma is the manufacturer. We'll take a simple example. The manufacturer is giving to the retailer directly. So he's supplied goods of 10,000 worth of medicines. ठीक है? And he's charged GST at 12%. 1,200 rupees charge किया है. Sun Pharma has sold to, tell me your dearest pharmacy name. Let us make it more practical. Med Plus, very good. Med Plus is a retailer, mostly सब जगह पे है. He is sold to Med Plus. Med Plus ने क्या किया? Med Plus ने ITC लिया है. कितने का लिया है? 1,200. This is क्या है? Outward GST. Clear? This is outward GST. ये इसने Med Plus को जब बिल किया, क्लेम किया, और he paid the GST to the government, and Med Plus ने ITC ले लिया. ठीक है? Now एक्सपायरी डेट हो गया है, और एक्सपायरी डेट तक इसके पास, मेड प्लस के पास कितने थे? 4,000 वर्थ रुपीज ऑफ गुड्स थे. सन फार्मा का फोन किया, सन फार्मा भाई मेरे पास आपके 4,000 के माल है, एक्सपायर्ड हो गए, मैं क्या करूं? सन फार्मा बोले उसको फेंक दो. नहीं नहीं, मैं नहीं फेंक सकता हूँ, म्युनिसिपल वाले मुझे पकड़ेंगे, मुझे आपको रिटर्न करना है. अरे ठीक है, रिटर्न कर दो. तो सन फार्मा क्या करेगा? सॉरी, मेड प्लस क्या करेगा? मेड प्लस जो है 4,000 रुपये रिटर्न करेगा, और इनवॉइस रेस करेगा. कौन सा इनवॉइस? सेल्स इनवॉइस. कितना का? 4,000 का माल है तो मुझे 4,000 दे दो भाई, मुझे ज्यादा नहीं चाहिए. ठीक है? 4,000 वर्थ ऑफ गुड्स आई विल सेल इट टू यू, एंड ही विल चार्ज कौन सा GST? आउटवर्ड GST. 4,000 रुपए के ऊपर कितना रुकता है भाई GST? 480 रुपीज. करेक्ट? 12% पे 480 रुपीज बनता है ना. सो ही विल चार्ज आउटवर्ड GST. ठीक है? मेड प्लस को काम हो गया है, मेड प्लस ने रिटर्न किया, उसका पैसा आ गया, खुश है वो. अभी आते हैं हम सन फार्मा के पास. सन फार्मा क्या करेगा? इनवॉइस आया है, ITC तो क्लेम कर ही सकता है ना, तो वो ITC क्लेम करेगा 480 रुपीज का. ठीक है? ही विल क्लेम इट. लेकिन ये मेडिसिन का वो क्या करेगा? अचार डालेगा? बेचेगा? नहीं. ही हैज टू उसको रिसाइकल भी नहीं कर सकता, बिकॉज इट्स एक्सपायर्ड गुड्स, तो रिसाइकल भी नहीं कर सकता है. तो इसको क्या करेगा? क्या करेगा? ही विल डिस्ट्रॉय दीज गुड्स. सन फार्मा गुड्स डिस्ट्रॉय करेगा थ्रू अ प्रोसेस विच विल नॉट हार्म द नेचर, एंड एज पर द रूल्स ही विल डिस्ट्रॉय. तो डिस्ट्रॉय करेगा. और हमने अभी पढ़ा है सेक्शन 17 में, ऑन गुड्स डिस्ट्रॉयड ही कैन नॉट क्लेम द ITC. तो ये क्या करेगा, दिस आईटीसी ही विल रिवर्स ऑफ व्हाट वैल्यू, 480 रुपीज का ये रिवर्सल करेगा। तो इफेक्ट क्या हुआ इसका, ही विल गेट नील बैलेंस। तो उसको जो 480 रुपीज मिला है, ही विल रिवर्स इट। तो इसका लॉस है, हाँ इसका लॉस ही है, एक्सपायर्ड गुड्स के ऊपर अल्टीमेटली मैन्युफैक्चरर को लॉस है। अगर 480 रिटर्न ही करना था तो लिया ही क्यों, क्योंकि जब लेना ही पड़ेगा, बिकॉज वंस द इनवॉइस इज अपियरिंग इन द जीएसटी टू बी, यू हैव टू क्लेम इट, दैट्स व्हाई यू विल क्लेम इट एंड देन रिवर्स इट, वरना आपने रिवर्स किया पता कैसे चलेगा। क्लियर है फॉर एवरीवन? ऑसम। Can Sun Pharma show it as a supply under CST? No, because they're not supplying actually. So they cannot. Had they supplied, then they can. इसमें तो supply नहीं है, इसमें तो clear disposal है। नहीं नहीं, not formality, that's the procedure. That's the procedure. Procedure has to be followed. But he keep for long without disposing? No, he cannot. The drug control license has some restrictions. It says that you have to dispose of within certain period of time. You have to dispose it off. Yes, drug control rules specify this, Sayed, that have to be followed. Medicines is like related to health, so it is regulated by the government. ठीक है। क्रेडिट इन स्पेशल सर्कमस्टांसेस, इन नॉर्मल सर्कमस्टांसेस आपको क्रेडिट क्या मिलेगा, क्या रिवर्सल करना पड़ेगा, ऑल दिस वी नो। बट इन स्पेशल सर्कमस्टांसेस क्रेडिट हैज टू बी रिवर्स्ड। Okay, we have 10 to 15 minutes for this. So what we'll do is, there are certain circumstances. We'll understand the first circumstance. Based on that, we will develop and further understand three more circumstances in the next class. So there are four circumstances in which credit is available in special circumstances. So first is on ITC on opening stock. So there are four, as I said, 18(1)(a), 18(1)(b), 18(1)(c), and 18(1)(d). So for now, what we will understand is only 18(1)(a). Okay. So 18(1)(a में आपको credit कब मिलेगा? When the, I will zoom this. हमको सिर्फ 18(1)(a पढ़ना है आज। 18(1)(a says what happens for the ITC on opening stock. So mostly this 18 provisions are on the opening stock, कि आपने registration लिया है, आपने shift किया है, तो आपका stock के ऊपर, fixed assets के ऊपर क्या आपको credit मिलेगा या नहीं। Okay, so it says that a person who has applied for registration, a person who has applied for registration within 30 days from the date on which he becomes liable for registration. Not every new registration. Only that registration who is applied on time. आपने in time काम किया है या नहीं? अगर आपने on time काम किया है, right? Only then you can revise the returns, revise your sales invoice also. And similarly, when you apply for registration, when will you consider this 30 days? Say my turnover is crossed 20 lakhs. Or if I'm a person who is selling goods, my turnover is crossed 40 lakhs. जब 40 lakh cross हुआ, within 30 days have I applied? If I've applied, then I will get the benefit of this 18(1)(a) provision. If I've applied late, then I will not get this benefit, because this provision clearly says a person who's applied for registration within 30 days from the date on which he becomes liable for registration and has been granted such registration shall, subject to such conditions and restrictions as may be prescribed, be entitled to take credit of input tax. अगर मैंने within 30 days when I became liable for registration, I've applied for registration, then I will be entitled to take credit of input tax in respect of inputs held in stock, जो भी मेरे पास raw materials है, I will be able to take the credit of this. Then inputs contained in semi-finished goods and finished goods which are held in stock. तो मैं तो एक मैन्युफैक्चरर था. I was a small manufacturer. I was doing manufacture. I was not registered. But in this year, I have become a got lot of goods because of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay, because of Modi, my demand for my products have been increased. So my limit has crossed. I've become a crossing almost 40 lakhs. So once I crossed 40 lakhs, I have applied for registration on time. Time पे जाके मैंने registration apply कर दिया है. So in that case, whatever I applied for registration, okay, now I have a supply of 5 lakhs in April, 5 lakhs in May, 5 lakhs in June, 5 lakhs in July. Till July, registration required. Not required because I'm a manufacturer, so you can't have a doubt whether it's a service provider. It is not required because it's a supplier of goods only. Manufacturer है तो manufacturer तो goods का ही करेगा. Correct. So till April, May, June, July, not required because my turnover was only 20 lakhs. Okay. April, May, June, July, not required. August, August also 5 lakhs. Still not required. September, bumper हो गया, 15 lakhs I have reached. So should I take registration? When should I take registration? Correct. Correct, Ashlisha. Correct, Kuldeep. Yes, Tanu Vishwakarma, right. 40 lakhs क्रॉस हो गया, कब रजिस्ट्रेशन अप्लाई करना चाहिए? यस, नवंबर. नवंबर नहीं भाई साहब, सितंबर. नो. When it's 50 lakhs, no, 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 Prerna. What is the limit for registration? October. Mm-hmm. Yes, October, right. Correct, correct. When you cross revenue 40 crores, you have to apply for registration. Government नहीं बोलता है कि आपका क्रॉस हो गया, जाओ डिपार्टमेंट भाग के registration लो. नहीं. तो relax. Apply for registration within 30 days when you cross this threshold limit. So आपका threshold limit cross हुआ है in our example September में. Right? So within 30 days मतलब 30th October तक आप apply कर सकते हो. So you get time for 30 days from the date of crossing the limit. So you अपने example में you have crossed the limit of 40 lakhs on September. So you can apply before 30th October. So you have diligently applied on 20th October. ठीक है? So you have applied for registration within time on the 20th October. You have applied on time. Now the officer will give you late. No problem. Since you have applied on time, you will be entitled to take credit of input tax in respect of inputs held in stocks, inputs containing semi-finished goods and finished goods on the day immediately preceding the date from which he became liable for to pay tax. Immediately prior to immediately from the date preceding from which he became liable to pay tax. When did I become liable to pay tax from? Which date am I liable to pay tax from? First September, wrong. 30th September, wrong. 30th September, wrong. October, right. 1st October, not 30th October. I've crossed the limit. I've touched the limit on 30th September. Not August. Why August कहाँ से आया अभी? September, right? Re-understand my example. April, May, June, July, August तक 5 lakhs था. Okay? 5 lakhs. and September 15 lakhs. So till 30th September, he was not liable. From 1st October, he is liable. Okay? Not when registration opted. Registration तो बाद में आएगा. आपने apply time पे कर लिया है. ठीक है? लेकिन from 1st October, whatever sales you make, you have to pay GST on that. You have to collect GST and pay it. Okay? So from 1st October जो है, I have collected the GST. So when am I liable to pay the GST from 1st of October? So on the day immediately preceding the day from which he became liable to pay tax. From 1st October, I was liable to pay tax. So from a day preceding the 1st October, which is the 30th September, 31st September. No, 30th September. September में सिर्फ 30 दिन है ना. So till the day preceding the day when I became liable for registration, which is 30th September. So 30th September ko, because I was doing manufacturing, so I will have some stock. So 30th September को जो भी मेरे इनपुट्स हैं, सेमी फिनिश गुड्स है, फिनिश गुड्स है, on that I can claim the credit. On that I can claim the credit. जो भी उन स्टॉक के अंदर क्रेडिट है, राइट, जो मैंने इनपुट्स यूज किए हैं, on that I would have paid GST. I would not have claimed credit because I was not registered till the September. लेकिन जब मैं 1st अक्टूबर से जीएसटी पे करूंगा और इस गुड्स के ऊपर मैं जीएसटी पे करूंगा, तो फिर इस गुड्स के ऊपर जो भी क्रेडिट है मुझे मिलना चाहिए. तो 18(1) ये आपको दे रहा है कि ठीक है, आपने टाइम पे रजिस्ट्रेशन लिया है, तो 30th सितंबर के आपका स्टॉक इन हैंड निकालिए, उसके ऊपर जो भी क्रेडिट है मैं उसे क्रेडिट दूंगा. दैट इज व्हाट 18(1)(a) इज सेइंग. If last invoice happened on 30th, 25th September, okay, and that crossed the 40 lakhs, then your liability will start from 26th September. So the liability starts from 26th September. But sir, GSTR 2B में show होगा क्या? नहीं होगा. So this is an exception to that. 18(1)(a) is an exception to that. आपको नहीं दिखेगा, so there are other ways to claim it. Good question, Kuldeep. So registration is compulsory after revenue cross 40 lakhs or 20 lakhs. If you're doing services, 20 lakhs. If you're doing pure goods, then 40 lakhs. Is it meaning earlier output has to pay and claim ITC of earlier bills? No, earlier output was not paid, Nama. Earlier, what happened? Supplier has supplied, you have paid taxes to him. You couldn't claim the credit, so always it was a loss for you. Now, whatever on the stock is there, you will pay taxes in the future. So on that stock credit, they are giving you now. सर कैसे पता चलेगा गवर्नमेंट को कि आईटीसी ज्यादा या कम क्लेम किया था? आईटीसी क्लेम ही नहीं किया था ना, ज्यादा या कम की क्या बात है यहाँ पे? ठीक है. सो दिस 18(1) is saying that whatever is the stock which is available, on that you will be eligible to claim the credit. Now 18(1)(a) says that if you're liable for registration and you cross the turnover and you apply for registration within 30 days, then inputs is available. मतलब जो भी स्टॉक है ऑन द क्रेडिट इज अवेलेबल. इनपुट सर्विसेज के ऊपर अवेलेबल है? नहीं है. कैपिटल गुड्स है उसके ऊपर अवेलेबल है? नहीं है. विच स्टॉक? स्टॉक इमीडिएटली प्रीसीडिंग द डेट फ्रॉम विच द becomes liable for registration. But there is one important aspect over here which I want to highlight. However, the tax invoice should not be older than 1 year. आपके पास स्टॉक है, आपने परचेज भी किया है, लेकिन दैट परचेज कैन नॉट बी कि आपके 2 साल 3 साल पहले परचेज किया उसका आप क्रेडिट लोगे, आज नहीं मिलेगा. आपको ट्रेस आउट करना पड़ेगा जो स्टॉक मेरे पास है वो मैंने कब परचेज किया है. आपने रिसेंटली परचेज किया है, रिसेंटली मतलब कितना रिसेंटली? 1 ईयर बैकवर्ड्स. 1 ईयर बैकवर्ड्स आप जाओगे, अगर 1 साल के अंदर इनवॉइस है तो आप उसका क्रेडिट ले सकते हो, 1 साल के ज्यादा है, 1 साल के पुराना है, इन आवर एग्जाम्पल 30th September 2025. So invoices which are raised from 1st of October 2024 onwards, you can claim the credit. If some invoice which was raised on 1st of January 2024 and that stock you have not sold and it is lying in the closing stock now, which you are using it, on that credit will not be available because that is beyond 1 year from the date of this date. Okay, so you cannot claim it. Understood? So first part, other parts you ignore. We are only on this part, which is liable for registration. On that, you will be available on only inputs. Input services के ऊपर credit नहीं मिलेगा. Capital goods के ऊपर credit नहीं मिलेगा. On only on inputs, credit will be available, and that invoice should not be beyond 1 year's time limit. If this we have understood, next provision will become very simple and understandable. If FG is manufactured more than a year ago, then you can't claim it. You can't. What are the inputs which is being utilized for that manufactured goods is what you have to see. Great. Any questions on 18(1)(a)? Great students, you're coming on a Saturday evening and 30 students coming and studying for the exam shows your dedication. Very nice. Inventory aging crucial. Correct. Inventory का records लेना पड़ेगा. How will you claim the credit without GST or 2B? You have to file a statement called ITC-01 or ITC-02, wherein you will declare what are the stocks, what are the purchases. Based on that, government can verify and give you the credit. Or they can give you the credit and later verify. This pro forma can we revise? Yes, yes, you can revise this. Not necessarily it has to be there. I'm just giving you a thing what I found comfortable.
Good evening, sir.
Yes,
सर एक्चुअली आई हैव अ डाउट दैट अगर जो जैसे सर डिस्काउंट वाला क्वेश्चन था कि एट द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई अगर जो एग्रीमेंट में लिखा हुआ है कि डिस्काउंट विल बी प्रोवाइडेड टू सप्लाई रिसिपिएंट ओके एंड गुड्स चले गए हैं और डिस्काउंट बाद में दिया गया तो क्रेडिट नोट निकालना पड़ेगा सप्लायर को
correct.
एंड सर इफ द एग्रीमेंट इज नॉट एट द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विस देन जो सप्लायर होगा वो बाद में कमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट निकालेगा ना सर
Correct.
तो सर यही मैंने क्वेश्चन एक टाइप किया था आपके पास कि अगर जो कॉमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट सप्लायर निकालता है तो वैल्यू ऑफ द सप्लाई कम हो जाएगी ना?
वैल्यू ऑफ द सप्लाई कम नहीं होगी, वैल्यू ऑफ पेमेंट जो कस्टमर से आनी है वो कम होगी.
हाँ जी, मतलब वही जो वैल्यू ऑफ द पेमेंट फ्रॉम द कस्टमर जो आने वाली है कम हो जाएगी।
करेक्ट,
और सर
लेकिन
अगर जो
सप्लाई के ऊपर टच नहीं होगा क्योंकि मैंने सप्लाई तो कर दिया है, उसके ऊपर जीएसटी गवर्नमेंट को पे कर दिया.
यस सर, मतलब अगर जो 1 लाख का सप्लाई मैंने किया था और मैंने कॉमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट निकाला है जब सप्लायर तो रेसिपिएंट मुझे 70,000 अगर जो कॉमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट के बाद हुआ तो मुझे 70,000 पे करेगा बट टैक्स जो है वो 18% यानी कि 1 लाख पे ही पे करेगा, यही तो?
करेक्ट, करेक्ट,
एंड सर अगर नॉर्मल क्रेडिट नोट निकालता है तो फिर आईटीसी भी रिवर्स करनी पड़ जाएगी उसके अकॉर्डिंग।
करेक्ट.
ओके सर, थैंक यू।
Any more questions? Yes, Tannu Vishwakarma.
जो मैन्युफैक्चरर है मेडिसिन वाला, तो जब रिटेलर ने गुड्स परचेज किया है मैन्युफैक्चरर से, तो मतलब उसने जीएसटी पे किया होगा, तो फिर जब वो रिटर्न करेगा मैन्युफैक्चरर को, तो उससे उसने अगर आईटीसी क्लेम किया हुआ है, तो फिर उसमें रिटेलर को कोई रिवर्सल नहीं करना पड़ेगा।
रिटेलर को कुछ नहीं करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि रिटेलर तो सेल कर रहा है, तो फिर उसे रिवर्स करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है।
फिर मतलब उसने आईटीसी तो मतलब क्लेम किया हुआ है उस गुड्स पे, तो फिर वो वापस से ही मैन्युफैक्चरर को ही रिटर्न कर रहा है, तो फिर वहाँ मतलब वहाँ पे आईटीसी रिटर्न क्यों नहीं करना है?
नहीं, क्योंकि या तो फिर वो मैन्युफैक्चरर को रिटर्न करे, लेकिन इनवॉइस तो पे रेस कर रहा है ना। इनवॉइस रेस करके जीएसटी तो पे करेगा। करेक्ट। तो फिर कोई दिक्कत वाली बात नहीं है, क्योंकि इनवॉइस रेस करके गवर्नमेंट को जीएसटी दे रहा है ना। तो फिर रिवर्स करने की बात नहीं है। अगर जीएसटी नहीं दे रहा है तो रिवर्स करनी चाहिए, लेकिन इस केस में वो तो इनवॉइस रेस करके जीएसटी पे करेगा।
तो फिर- मतलब अगर जीएसटी उसने पे नहीं किया है, तो फिर तब उसे रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा, लेकिन वो कर रहा है तो फिर इसे नहीं करना पड़ेगा।
करेक्ट।
थैंक यू।
ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच। हैव अ गुड वीकेंड। सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन। यस सर।